I built a company with my best friend. For 9 years, I was the one who stayed up until 4 in the morning, quietly fixing the things she broke, and I never told a single soul I was doing it because that's what partners do. I found out how everyone saw me from a thank you note. It wasn't even addressed to me. Rachel is the kind of person a room turns towards. I need you to picture her because if you are imagining someone cold or calculating, you'll get this wrong, the way I nearly did. Rachel is magnetic. She could walk into a pitch with 3 hours of sleep and a coffee stain on her blouse and walk out with the deal. Because she made people feel like the most interesting person alive for that 90 seconds she looked at them. Clients loved her. The press loved her. Our own employees loved her. And she deserved a lot of it. I want to be fair. She could sell. She could dream. She landed accounts I could never have landed in 100 years. Because the version of confidence you need to close a room is a thing I have never once had. We met in our 20s. Two women who wanted to build something. And we did. She was the front of the house. I was everything behind it. Which meant I was also the one who noticed about a year in that Rachel didn't finish things. She'd land the client and then lose interest in the part where you actually deliver. The proposal would go out with the wrong numbers. The deadline would arrive with nothing behind it. A contract would get signed that promised something we couldn't do. And I would fix it. Quietly. At night. I'd rebuild the deck before the meeting. Catch the error before it shipped. Call the vendor and unpromise the thing she'd promised. And I never made it a thing because we were partners and partners don't keep score. And I told myself that carrying the parts she dropped was just my half of the work. I told myself that for 9 years. There was no single betrayal. That's what took me so long. Nobody did anything to me. I want to be honest about that. Because it would be a cleaner story if Rachel had stabbed me in the back. And she never did. She'd have been horrified at the idea. What happened instead was quieter and, in the end, worse. The story of our company, the one the team told, the one the clients believed, the one that got written up in the regional business magazine with Rachel's face on it, was that Rachel was the brilliant one, and I was the reliable one who handled operations. Operations. That was the word. I was great with the details. I kept the trains running. At our 5-year party, in a toast, Rachel called me warmly, lovingly, meaning every word of it as a compliment. The glue that holds us together. Everyone applauded. I smiled, and I felt something go slightly cold. And I didn't look at it too closely because glue is useful, and I wanted to be useful. and I had spent my whole life believing that being needed was the same thing as being valued. It's not the same thing. I know that now. Glue is the thing you never think about until it fails. Nobody has ever admired glue. They just get quietly upset when it stops holding. Nobody admires glue. They only notice it when something comes apart. For 9 years, I was the reason nothing fell apart. And the reason nobody knew nothing was falling apart was me. I had hidden my own work so well out of loyalty that I had erased myself from our own story. The thank you note came in November. We'd nearly lost our biggest client that autumn. A contract worth almost a third of our revenue. Rachel had, in a meeting I wasn't in, promised them a delivery timeline that was physically impossible. And by the time I found out, they were already angry, already drafting the email that started with the word unfortunately. I fixed it. Of course I fixed it. I spent 3 weeks and 2 entire weekends rebuilding the timeline, renegotiating with our own vendors, personally calling the client's project lead and walking her through a plan that would actually work. I didn't sleep properly the whole month. My husband started leaving my dinners in a microwave with a note on it. I saved the account. And in November, the client sent a note to say thank you. A real one, handwritten, warm. It was addressed to Rachel. It thanked her for her incredible personal attention during a difficult stretch. It said the project lead had never worked with someone who cared so much about getting it right. It said Rachel had restored their faith. Rachel forwarded it to the whole company with a little note that said, "So proud of this team." And I sat at my desk and read a stranger's heartfelt gratitude for 3 weeks of my life, my weekends, my sleep, my marriage stretched thin, addressed in ink to someone who did not know the timeline had ever been broken. She wasn't stealing the credit. That's the part that hollowed me out. She genuinely thought she'd earned it. In her version of that autumn, she had charmed a difficult client through a rough patch. She had no idea there'd been a fire because I had put it out so quietly and so completely that even the person who said it never smelled the smoke. I didn't sleep that night, and somewhere around 3 in the morning, the thought arrived, fully formed, in the flat voice the true ones use. They're not wrong about her. They're wrong because of me. Everyone thought Rachel was brilliant, and I was reliable, and that wasn't a lie they were telling. It was the honest conclusion of only evidence they'd ever been allowed to see. Rachel got to be brilliant because I made sure her mistakes never reached daylight. My reliability wasn't the opposite of her brilliance. My reliability was what manufactured her brilliance. I had spent 9 years being the invisible machinery that turned Rachel's dropped balls into Rachel's triumphs. And the better I got at it, the faster the quieter, the more seamless, the more I disappeared. Every fire I put out cleanly was a fire nobody knew I'd fought. My competence wasn't building my reputation, it was building hers out of my own erasure. And that meant there was nothing to expose and no one to confront because nobody had done anything wrong. There was only one thing in the entire 9 years that had ever actually been mine to decide whether to keep catching them. I want to be honest about how undramatic this was because I think that matters. I didn't quit. I didn't send an email laying it all out. I didn't stand up at a meeting and finally tell everyone what I really did. All of those fantasies ran through my head at 3 in the morning, and every one of them ended with me looking exactly like the bitter, small operations person the story already half believed I was. Instead, in January, I stopped staying late. That's all. I did my actual job, my real job, the one on paper, and I did it well. And at 6 o'clock, I went home and ate dinner with my husband while it was still hot. When Rachel dropped something, I saw it drop, and for the first time in 9 years, I let it lie where it fell. I need you to understand, I didn't sabotage anything. I didn't hide her errors or set traps or let a client get hurt out of spite. I am not built that way, and I wouldn't have been able to live with it. I just stopped doing the invisible half of my job that was never actually mine. If a proposal went out with her numbers in it, it went out with her numbers in it. If she promised a timeline, it was now her timelines to keep. And the fires I used to put out at 4 in the morning started happening in the daylight, in front of everyone, with her name on them. I didn't say a word. I didn't have to. For 9 years, I hadn't been Rachel's partner. I'd been her safety net. And you find out very quickly what someone's balance is really like the day you quietly step out from under them. It took about 5 months. Not one big collapse. That's not how it went. And if I told you there was one dramatic meeting where it all came apart, I'd be writing a movie instead of telling you what happened. It was slower and stranger than that. It was a season of small things landing wrong, one after another, all of them with Rachel's fingerprints on them, all of them finally visible. A proposal went out with the numbers wrong and the client caught it. A deadline passed and there was simply nothing there. A contract got signed promising something we couldn't do, and this time no one unpromised it because the person who used to unpromise things was home eating dinner. And I watched the story of our company slowly, quietly rewrite itself in real time. Not because I told anyone anything, because for 9 years the evidence had all pointed one way, and now it started pointing another, and people believe evidence. The moment I remember most wasn't traumatic either. It was a Tuesday, and one of our younger employees, a kid Rachel had hired, who worshipped her, knocked on my office door, looking pale, holding a printout of something that had gone out wrong. And he said, "I don't understand how this happened. This never used to happen." And I looked at him, and I did the kindest and hardest thing I did in the entire 9 years. I said, "I know, let's figure out how to fix it together." And I taught him how to catch it. I didn't teach him to cover for her. I taught him to see it, and then to let the person who made it own it. I gave him the one thing I'd never given myself: permission to not disappear. Rachel and I aren't partners anymore. We restructured a year later. It was in the end almost gracious, two tired women acknowledging something that had been true for a long time. She runs her own thing now, a smaller thing, a thing that is exactly as good as Rachel actually is, which turns out to be pretty good, just not the thing the magazine cover said. I don't feel triumphant about that. Some nights I miss her, the way you miss someone you built your 20s with. She wasn't a villain. She was a genuinely gifted woman who never once had to become better because I kept the cost of her staying the same completely invisible, including from her. I kept the thank you note that surprises people. I have it in a drawer. I kept it because for a long time I thought it was the worst thing that ever happened to me. A stranger thanking the wrong woman for the best work I ever did. I understand it differently now. That note is the most honest thing anyone ever handed me. It showed me, in a stranger's warm and grateful handwriting, exactly how completely I had agreed to not exist. I don't need it to remind me of Rachel. I keep it to remind me that I am the one who signed the work now. If this one hit home, this channel is about the quiet moments good people stop protecting the ones who hurt them. Subscribe and I'll tell you another.